Welcome to another episode of Words with Dr. Whitaker podcast. And today we are all in Decatur with financial and also staffing sustainability. Welcome, Dr. Lonita Broome, our Chief Financial Officer, and also welcome to Mrs. Adena Walker, our Chief Human Resources Officer.
Thank you.
So, ladies, how long have you worked in the city schools of Decatur? And tell me exactly, what do you do? What is the areas you oversee? Dr. Broome?
Okay. I have been working with the city schools of Decatur as the Chief Financial Officer since April 2020. So I came during COVID.
Oh, during COVID.
Yes. So it's been approximately 4 years.
Okay.
And in the finance department, we cover accounts payable, budgeting, which is huge, purchasing, payroll, account reconciliation, and the financial audit for the district.
Excellent. And please, Mrs. Walker, how long?
I have been with City Schools of Decatur close to 9 years now.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, November of 2015.
Okay.
And I came in as the HR business partner. And I have grown into this role as the Chief of Human Resources.
Okay. And what are some of the functions that are in the Human Resources Office?
Well, most importantly, really recruiting and retention of our staff.
Okay.
Employee benefits, employee engagement.
Mm-hmm.
We oversee professional learning. Workers' compensation, compliance, staff evaluations, and last but not least, compensation. Mm-hmm. And so we work very closely with Dr. Broome and her department on that piece. Oh,
I think I've kind of heard at some point in time someone say that you two need to be like BFFs.
We are. Hey, BFF.
Yes, we are definitely BFFs.
Yes, you two are BFFs
Right.
because the two of you work hand in hand to
Absolutely.
ensure that we can truly recruit and retain high quality professionals.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And that is in every sense of the word of professional. When it comes to our people who work as bus drivers or our staff that support as paraprofessionals or to our teachers, obviously that's the lion's share of our staff. And to any person that is supporting the work that is being done. So I know I work with you both heavily, but it's great work because it's great work on behalf of children.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's see. It's been about a little bit over a year. The Board of Education adopted our strategic plan, and it's called All in Decatur. So in March of 2023, this 5-year strategic plan spoke to 4 strategic accelerators. Those 4 strategic accelerators are really what it is going to take for us to be a truly world-class system.
Absolutely.
Obviously, we want to build and sustain an engaging and inclusive culture. And that culture is not only with our students, but also our staff. But then we also need to have an organization that is effective and excellent. And that strategic accelerator speaks mainly to a lot of your work.
Correct.
And then our third strategic accelerator, once again, is about that retaining and also recruiting our high quality professionals. Mm-hmm. How do we cultivate them? How do we grow them? And we use all of these strategic accelerators to keep the main thing, which is our fourth and final student success in all areas. Mm-hmm. So, kind of gave a little precursor. So there are 2 strategic accelerators that really speak to your work. And so, Dr. Broome, I'll start with you with organizational effectiveness and excellence. When I think about those objectives, fiscal sustainability and transparency comes to mind immediately. So talk to me about some of the ways in which we are partnering to bring about that objective.
Currently, we are in budget season, and in an effort to be transparent, we have placed all our budget documents on the website, and we have also included a link where we can get stakeholders' feedback on the budget.
Okay.
We're in the process of creating a budget book that will identify allotment, it identify departments, purpose, and mission, and will give the historical context of the budget.
Wow. Okay. So that's key. This is how we are spending our money. So where are some of the ways that we actually generate that revenue for our funding?
The largest source of revenue for the district is actually in local property tax.
Really?
Yes. And the second largest source is in state revenue, which is tied directly to student enrollment.
Exactly. Okay. So if those are the ways that we generate that revenue, I'm going to this is probably going to go directly to you next. If we generate the revenue, what is the lion's share of our budget? What is it comprised of?
The largest portion of our budget is actually personnel.
Oh.
Over 79% of the budget is staffing.
Oh.
And again, that's why we're BFFs.
That's right. Okay.
We are elbow to elbow.
Right.
Elbow to elbow in the work. So
Yes,
as
right.
you are developing what would be that budget, the most key piece is to know how we will compensate staff.
Right.
So the strategic accelerator that really is yours, and it's yours really in totality, is the way we will cultivate, we will recruit, we will retain our high quality professionals. So talk to me about compensation. I know that's one of the key objectives. It was actually a board priority.
Absolutely.
Exactly. As we were developing this budget, we sat with the board and we said, tell us what the priorities are. And the number one priority was the compensation of staff. So talk to me about that process, Mrs. Walker. Talk to me about what does it mean for us to have a compensation package in totality that is truly competitive, especially in the Atlanta metro region.
Absolutely. So we really want to start with where we are and how we are compared to other metro districts and seeing where we are ranked, because you can't improve until you know exactly where you can improve.
Yes.
So we completed a compensation study to benchmark where we are and where we are ranked with other metro districts. And during the process, we had to always make sure that we were looking at the variables that would go into that process. And we really don't know exactly what other districts are doing. So we're just trying to make the strides and to make sure that we are doing the best that we can from our perspective to do the most we can for our employees. So we during the compensation study, we looked at salary only.
Okay, so salary is a variable, obviously.
Is definitely a variable. But when we're looking at total compensation, we're looking at healthcare, we're looking at TRS, we're looking at Social Security contributions, and
Wait a second.
Yes.
Many people know I've been in the metro for 25 years.
Yes.
And City Schools of Decatur does what when it comes to Social Security?
We contribute to Social Security.
Wow. And how many districts in the metro do that?
About 3.
Okay.
And
So that is definitely an added benefit to and being employed with the district.
absolutely. And that is on top of when we look at that as an added benefit to our employees, and we try to sell that as part of your total compensation, because that is something that the district is investing on your behalf for your retirement. And that is on top of TRS, teacher retirement.
Wow. So you would have your teacher retirement service as well as Social Security.
Yes.
And then if you wanted to have potentially a 403B or any other types of additional retirement, you would have that.
You would have that as
so I think retention is key, to know that after being with the City Schools of Decatur for a considerable amount of time,
Yes.
upon retirement, you would have potentially 3 Definitely 2.
Yes.
And if your choice, 3 forms of income.
Absolutely.
At that point.
That's exactly right.
Oh, okay. That's exciting. Okay, well, thank you. I believe that those tidbits about what we offer to our staff is key.
Right.
Now, let's take a little bit of a journey, Dr. Broome. We've talked about the fact that compensation, and that's really where it starts. And we've even referenced our budget calendar, if you will, in the priorities. So talk me through, how do we develop a budget? What are those components? What are some of the things that we've done this year versus what has been done in the past? And some goals that we have and some priorities with this year's budget.
Okay. Previously, the budget just pretty much rolled over with any new requests or new approved initiatives.
Okay.
This year, with our new superintendent, the process was a lot different.
Okay.
The first thing we did was introduce modified zero-based budgeting. And modified zero-based budgeting means that every request from the operational side had to be justified, regardless of the dollar amount. And during this process, we was able to realize savings of $500,000.
Wow. Okay. So justifying the cost. Talk to me, Mrs. Walker. What did that look like in our school system, and what did that look like as the development of that budget?
Well, I tell you, like I said, we were hand in hand throughout the whole process, and just looking at different vacancies that we have had opened throughout the year. And because that is always built into the budget. So if we have not filled that vacancy, we can deduct that out of the budget, and that is more money that we can put into compensation for our current employees.
Absolutely.
And from an operational standpoint, what did justification look like?
Justification looked like going before cabinet and justifying every purchase you requested, looking at the past purchases and justifying why they increase or they decrease.
Yes.
So we looked at every penny in the operational budget.
And believe you me, you looked at every penny.
Every penny.
Yes, I did.
Yes.
I did. I looked at every penny.
Yes, you did. Line by line.
And if the justification was not strong, it was not approved.
That's
the
exactly
request was
right.
not approved.
The request is not approved.
Correct.
And why was that key for this budget specifically?
One of the board's main priority was competitive salaries. And in order to maintain competitive salaries, because not only do we have to finance it initially, we have to be able to sustain it.
That's right.
Okay.
So finding savings, finding over budgeting was critical. Another area that was over budgeted was school budgets.
Oh, so talk to us about how we came to that realization. What were some of the key financial ahas and where we've landed now?
Okay. We looked at the budget for the last 4 years for the schools, and what we saw was that the schools were over budgeted by over $200,000 as a whole, and looking at all the schools together. So we did an analysis on it. We saw where they were not spending funds, and then we realized that it was not necessarily equitable because there was no logic to the funding as far as the distribution to the school. So currently, in the fiscal year 25 budget, it's being built based on $145 per pupil.
Yes.
And if additional funds are needed based on the needs of the students, then we have an instructional reserve where those funds can be allocated.
That's great. So our ability to provide equity through our budget.
Absolutely.
And we expect those same equitable outcomes for our students.
And they will be monitored.
And transparency.
Exactly.
And transparent.
Absolutely.
And transparent. Being able to think about our budget as almost a moral document is something that has been key for me, and I do stress that to all members of cabinet and even to the board. Where you spend your money and how you spend your money speaks to who you are. And that is truly what we mean when we say all means all all of our students need to have access to the resources, human capital, as well as operational, that will bring about those outcomes.
Yes.
So we've talked about modified zero-based budgeting. We've talked about what's considered the per pupil expenditure. Now, when developing a budget, there are intergovernmental relationships that are key, because the lion's share, actually the largest part, is based upon taxes.
Correct. Absolutely.
So, Dr. Broome, talk about some of the changes in this development cycle for our budget.
Previously, we would project our local taxes, but we didn't have much guidance. But with Dr. Whitaker's assistance in development of relationship, we now have a relationship with the tax commissioner, and we were fortunate enough to have the tax commissioner come and present to the board on the outlook of the economy. And so that will help with projection. We also had the city manager, Decatur city manager, come in. So establishing those relationships help us with the forecasting and the projecting and building in the projections with building a budget.
And I know because we are the city schools of Decatur, our partnership with the city of Decatur is invaluable.
It's invaluable.
We've talked in earlier episodes around Legacy Park and a track, and we've also talked about in other episodes the way in which this city is a valuable partner in the programming for our students. Mm-hmm. But also they are a valuable partner when it comes to our tax collection.
Yes, they distribute the tax collections to the district. I have a very close relationship with the financial department and the financial manager because we work closely together with our biggest source of revenue.
That is key.
That is key. Yes.
Okay, so we've talked about how we've gotten to this point. Now, we had a webinar back in I would say January, maybe. It was a while ago, where there were some commitments made to compensation that were going to be funded in this budget. And there are lots of options out there, lots of things that are talked about. Could you kind of explain what an option 5 or a 7 or a 3? There is it just sounds like a lot of numbers.
Yes.
So talk to us about what does all that mean?
Well, as I previously stated, we completed a compensation study. And in that compensation study, there were different options that increased entry amounts for our entry-level teachers and throughout our salary scales. And so we looked at the most sustainable and the one that would really just look at all of our scales and give us we were looking for at least 5% increase to our salary scales for all job categories. And so in looking at sustainability. And so option 5 and option 7 were the most options that we said that we would look at that would make the most sense.
And then for our employees that sometimes I would consider do a lot of the hard work.
Absolutely.
But they aren't necessarily compensated in that way. Talk to me about what, as far as what are those options and the ways in which we are going to help support them financially in their increase?
Absolutely. And we're always looking at our salary scales and making sure that we have livable wages. And so that means if we need to increase the hourly amount to those job categories, that's what we wanted to do. So our objective was to have the minimum of $15 an hour for any part-time, full-time or part-time employee in the district.
Yes. And we weren't at $15 an hour. We were not. So I love that our board really did say a livable wage at minimum is $15 an hour. And so that makes a difference. It does. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about other ways that we have ways to retain our staff. Right. So another key piece of being able to cultivate what would be that workforce if you will, that is high quality is to partner with universities and like-minded institutions to help grow them.
Absolutely.
So talk to us about some of the opportunities we have moving forward.
Right. Again, when we're talking about compensation, yes, that is one of the most important things that we're looking to retain our staff. But when you're saying we're going to offer relevant professional learning throughout the district, and again partner with like-minded organizations to make you more successful in your job role. And so some of the university partnerships that we have are with Mercer University. And part of that agreement with Mercer University is that we have agreed to reduce some of their tuition for their post-secondary degrees.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
So our teachers can attend Mercer University at a lower cost than the other students that attend.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's phenomenal.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And that really helps strengthen our pipeline because we're really working closely with our classified employees as well, and making sure that they are aware that you are here, you are part of our instructional staff. But we want to make sure if that being a teacher is where you want to be, that we're going to help hold your hand and partner with these universities to make that happen.
Yes. And Agnes Scott is literally nestled between our schools, various schools in our district. So talk about some of the partnerships that we have in place with them.
Absolutely. And we have to look at ourselves not only just for teachers, but we are a full employer. So that means not only just teachers and paraprofessionals, we have operational staff, we have support staff. And so with that being such a close neighbor to our district, we are really looking at partnerships of just saying, if you're wanting to go into a different content area outside of education, then that would be accessible to you as well. And then having that relationship, if you have someone a student in the district, or just looking at courtesy tuition, just all types of things that we can just truly work into the partnership.
Excellent. So what I know is that this is a part of our strategic plan.
Absolutely.
And we are really in that baseline year, looking at our number of partnerships we have now. And we know that these partnerships will grow in shape over the course of the next couple of years while we are in all indicator. Even when I think about the YMCA,
Right.
and the way in which our staff get a discount to be members of the Y.
That's right.
There are so many things that we offer to our staff that are part of that total compensation package that really speaks to not only the desire to compensate them monetarily, which of course that is key, but also helping them in their entire whole wellness journey.
That's right. I was in an exciting meeting yesterday with Georgia State University as well.
Oh.
So we are on the cusp of really deepening our relationship with them, and I'm excited about it.
Oh, you can't talk about it just yet.
I can't talk about it just yet, but it's some things coming on the horizon that we are excited about, and you are all about making sure our employees are well equipped, so I think you will be excited as well.
Oh, I'm excited. Yes, excited to hear. We'll have to have you come back on, and maybe even someone from Georgia State to discuss said partnership.
Yes.
Awesome.
Good.
Awesome. So when we think, yes, we're done.
No, we need to talk about the Kennesaw State University partnership for students becoming teachers.
Pipeline, career pipeline.
Okay.
All right. So yes. Now, we've talked about, let's see, Mercer University, Agnes Scott, Georgia State. Something's happening with Kennesaw?
Absolutely.
Oh, what is happening with Kennesaw?
I really have a great relationship with Kennesaw as well. I sit on their advisory board as well.
Okay.
But we start even with our high schoolers.
Oh.
Yes. So they have an aspiring program for teachers, and our students take part of that, and they are so excited about that. We have great feedback from the students. It was an all-day event, and this is where you really start your pipeline and growing your own. If you can get students as early as high school, and even further back than that, but really honing in those high school students of saying, this is the profession that I really want to be a part. You're in front of a teacher every single day. And so they are the ones that's really advertising for that profession. And so that is a great partnership that we do have with Kennesaw.
That's awesome.
Yes, that's
you talk
wonderful.
about workforce development, talent development, early childhood education. It's great to know that we will be able to welcome our own students to continue to remain all in even after their graduation.
Absolutely. And to also, we have a upcoming University Partners Day that we're going to invite all of our university partners at one luncheon.
Yes.
And so they can see a little bit more about our district and really have that advantage of placing our pre-service teachers in our district. So we're excited about that as well.
That will be awesome. And I look forward to not only the universities that we've mentioned thus far, but our universities in the Atlanta University Center as well, just really being a part of that. I know I had the awesome opportunity to meet some of our what will be new employees in the next fiscal year at the job fair.
Yes.
It was very well attended, and we were providing intent to hires on that day.
On that day.
And those individuals who are currently with us in their field experience, what did they get? How was it a little different for them?
Exactly. So we prioritize our student teachers. We give them that first hour of priority in front of our district leaders and letting them know that once you're a part of our district, we want you to stay. And so building those relationships throughout the school year and being in front of those leaders is saying that, you know what, we want you and we want to keep you.
Be all in.
All in.
Be all in.
Adena's been busy.
Yes, she
I
has.
stay busy, BFF.
Okay, so now as we are coming to what would be the conclusion of our budget season, what are some of those budget highlights? And I know it's called FY25, but we're in 24. So this is for the 24-25 school year, correct?
Correct, which begins July 1st.
July 1st. And what would be some of the things that some highlights?
Some highlights of the budget. The biggest highlight is the competitive salary. As Ms. Walker mentioned, all employees will receive a minimum of 5% salary increase, and eligible employees will also receive a step increase. Other highlights include unfunded mandates. The state sometimes has processes or requirements that we are required to mandate. For example, the governor with the $2,500 salary increase for all teachers, which is excellent. However, only those teachers earned will we receive funding from. There's 146 teachers that are not earned, and those funds will come from the local account.
Exactly. So when we think about our budget and the way we earn money from the state based upon enrollment and the way our students are served, not all teachers that we have are earned by that formula.
Correct.
That's called the QBE formula. And so we do have about 149 individuals or 46 that
In that range.
once again, we will provide that $2,500 from the governor, as well as our true increase of at a minimum 5%, as well as step eligible.
Correct.
So all that's a big highlight.
That's huge.
That's highlight.
huge.
So okay. Any other highlights?
Well, we have also had increases in state health. State health last year was $945 per employee per month. It has increased to $1,760 per employee per month.
Oh,
So that's a financial increase that we will have to take on in the fiscal year 25 budget.
yes. So, and you said in personnel, which is inclusive of salaries and benefits, is but 79% of our total budget.
For fiscal year 24.
Yes.
Yes.
And probably somewhere in there.
Yeah. A little more, but yes, with the increase in salaries and benefits, I'm sure it'll be a little more, but still within the range.
Yes, yes. And so I want to just ask my last final question around the fund balance. That is something that, from a budget standpoint, we hear so much about in the news, or people say, Well, those school systems, they really have those big old savings accounts, and talk to our listeners about our fund balance, some of the parameters that we have for it, and what it really means to be sustainable.
So district policy requires the fund balance to be between 4 and 15%.
Okay.
So we try not to go any lower than 4 and any higher than 15%. The fund balance is like your savings. So with COVID, with the emergency, with the pandemic, we were able to not lay off any employees and continue to pay all employees because of our fund balance. So it's critical that you have that reserve, because you never know when emergencies such as that will happen.
Awesome. And so I love the fact that we do have those parameters in place, and it is by policy. And when we're looking at compensation and we're thinking about the digest and the increase of taxes or increase of revenue, but then also you think about those expenditures, that fund balance really must be maintained.
Correct. And the fund balance is not recurring. That's just one-time money. So you really do not want to finance salaries out of the fund balance.
Okay. That's key. That's key. I guess that's what makes it sustainable, huh?
Exactly.
Well, awesome. I thank you both so much for coming on today and to really discussing why being all indicator really requires us to be all in financially.
Yes.
As for our finances and that sustainability, but also in our staffing. Keeping the main thing, which is educating and also creating positive outcomes for all of our students. Thank you guys so much.
You're welcome. Thanks
Thank you for having us.
All right.
Let's go, BFF.
Yes.